medical malpractice suits are increasing. The average medical malpractice verdicts have increased from $1.1 million in 1994 to $3.5 million today. The top 3 medical malpractice awards in 2001 totaled $299 million. Doctors are facing up to 300% increases in malpractice insurance.
For the past 30 years, the #1 focus in my legal career has been helping doctors all over America insulate and protect their assets by using the tools that do insulate and protect, as opposed to this periphery of tools such as trusts and joint ownership, community property, joint tenancy, wherein there is little, if any, asset protection. Every doctor in America ought to understand that there is only one A+ grade tool in this country. If you want to insulate that home, you want to insulate your stocks, your bonds, your personal property, there is only one major tool into which you convey those assets if you want 100% asset protection. Now, I'll tell you, there are a lot of inferior tools. There's offshore trusts, there are treaty trusts, constitutional trusts, there are children's trusts, but I'll tell you, there's only one major tool in America, after a lifetime of practice in this field, that does, in fact, insulate and protect.
Every year, thousands of doctors are sued. Some survive these lawsuits. However, many do not. It's a tragedy to see doctors forced out of business and left bankrupt as a result of a lawsuit. Especially when these tragedies could be avoided if these doctors were structured properly.
Now, my frustration is further magnified because today, this very day, as I'm shooting this film, I sat down with my son-in-law, who's now finishing his medical education in one of the leading medical schools in America today in New York City. As I sat down with him today, I said, Josh, now tell me, you finished almost all of your curriculum now in medical school, your training. How much training were you given on how to prepare yourself from lawsuits and to protect yourself once you get out into the practice, realizing you're going to be in the most heavily sued profession in the world, realizing that now as a budding young neurosurgeon, you are absolutely a target. You got a target painted on you, and you're going to be nailed day after day. Josh, what have they trained you in medical school? He said, Dad, it's never been mentioned.
The National Medical Foundation for Asset Protection has created a training program to prevent the catastrophes of lawsuits from happening. Our experts have presented at scores of medical and dental conferences across the country, have authored best-selling books on asset protection, are the nation's top advisors on medical malpractice protection and prevention. Clients include world-renowned surgeons and physicians. The courses are approved for CME Category 1 credit. Doctors across the nation have invited these speakers to their conferences to teach them how to reduce their cost of malpractice insurance, protect 100% of their professional and personal assets against lawsuits, no matter how large or unique the suit, structure their practices for malpractice protection and prevention. G. Kent Mangelson, Dale West, Robert J. Bloom, and J.W. Mitten are available through various speaker bureaus for an honorarium of $15,000. However, if your organization qualifies, the National Medical Foundation for Asset Protection will sponsor one of these speakers and cover the honorarium and traveling expenses.
But I've been asked to tell you just a few things about how this came about, how this whole field of asset protection developed. And really it goes back to me as a young boy. When I remember when I was between the ages of around 8 to 12, my father came to us one day saying, kids, we have to move. We have to leave this little yellow brick house my dad had built with his own hands. I had my own bedroom. My sisters each had their own bedrooms. We had to leave because of a thing called a lawsuit. I didn't understand what that meant. We were in our second home, little white frame home, but a short while, it seemed like. Probably was a few months actually, but Dad gathers his 3 kids together again, says, kids, we have to move. Another lawsuit. This event repeated it 3 times during my young life. And I'm going to tell you something. When as a child you lose 3 homes, lose the bedrooms, the security that one has, I'll tell you, it creates a traumatic influence in your life. And that, I remember as a kid, I must have been maybe 12, 13 years of age, but I pulled out a little burgundy-colored diary. And I remember writing in there these words. when I grow up, no one will ever take 1 penny from J. Minton, ever. It was just like an obsession, going through that trauma as a child. And so as an early age, I decided I'm going to law school. I'm going to law school, so I'm going to learn everything there is to know, because what happened to my dad is not going to happen to me. I went to law school, and was I shattered. In 3 years of education, the words asset protection were never mentioned. Not once was I taught how to insulate, how to protect assets. What are the tools? What are the strategies? Instead, as a budding young attorney, in those 3 years, I was taught how to sue, how to seize assets, how to find hidden assets that people have, how to reach those assets belonging to defendants, as was my own father years ago. Not a word on how to protect. I became even more convinced that I had to go beyond. Obviously, I didn't learn it in law school. Got a master's degree in business then. I did my thesis on every paper I could on how to protect, how to insulate assets. Convinced that this is an approach that every American just simply needs to know about. And I needed to know about it personally. So I've spent much of my life in this entire field, developing an entire practice in this one tiny, narrow field of law. And you know the frustrating thing? In the last 2 and 3 years, we hired 2 different attorneys in our law firm. And as I interviewed these 2 different attorneys with all these many years that have elapsed from my education to their education, I said to the 2, how much training did you have in law school on asset protection? And both of them said, Jay, it was never mentioned. What were they trained? They were trained in the same things that I was trained in, which is the art of suing, the art of seizing assets of people. I am so passionate about getting this information to every doctor in America that I have 5 associates now who are trained probably better than I am. There are 5 of us who go around this country speaking and trying to teach every doctor who will open his or her ears that you can save, you can protect your assets. And if I could just have one petition, one request, it is quit relying on joint ownership, quit relying on community property, quit relying on living trust, loving trust, intervival trust. There is no asset protection. You spent your lifetime in your practice as a doctor. You deserve to know how to insulate and protect it. And I'll tell you, I just wish that some way, somehow, the 5 of us could scream from the rooftops of every home and every medical practice in America that there is an answer. The thing to which you have been seeking for many, many years, how to insulate, how to protect assets, the answer is here. It's been here, incidentally, since 1916. But few there be that really find it, and few there be, when a lawsuit strikes, who really are insulated.
This information has been provided by the National Medical Foundation for Asset Protection. The Foundation's mission is to provide training on total asset and medical malpractice protection. This training enables doctors to practice medicine and serve patients instead of worrying about rising insurance costs and lawsuits. Through our foundation, thousands of doctors have been taught how to protect themselves and their families against lawsuits. We are committed to providing this training to each and every doctor practicing in America. To schedule one of the nation's top medical speakers, call 1-800-375-2453.